Hello, very good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome back to our news analysis program. Today we shall be discussing the Hindu dated July 1. There are plenty of news items well cooked for you. So please listen to the program. I'm very sure that if you attend this program continuously and if you follow the notes that are provided in the Udyog Seva app of ICD Kollam, you will score exceedingly well for the upcoming examinations. In the general awareness paper you will do well, and if you continuously read the newspapers, that will be a great boost for your English language paper too. So let us begin. July 1, 2021. Drones, flying toys banned in J&K district after attacks. Supreme Court pulls up government on ex gratia. These are the two major news items of the day. We shall take one by one. Supreme Court pulls up government on ex gratia. Listen, COVID-19 was declared a national disaster by the government. If anything is declared a national disaster, then the state has to provide compensation, and that is a statutory requirement, statutory obligation of the government. But so far the government of India has not declared any compensation to the relatives of those who died due to COVID. In the Supreme Court of India, the government of India even argued that it would not be possible to provide compensation, as it would affect the exchequer very badly. With the current rate of, with the current number of death, it would be nearly 15,000 crore rupees would be required. But the Supreme Court finally said that no, it is a statutory obligation and the state and the government has to pay. We shall check the news. Supreme Court criticized the National Disaster Management Authority, and Prime Minister of India is the chairperson of NDMA. Supreme Court criticized NDMA for failing in its duty, to recommend ex gratia to the families of those who lost their loved ones due to COVID. It's a statutory obligation. In the DM Act, Disaster Management Act, compensation must be given if somebody dies of that national disaster, and COVID-19 is declared a national disaster by the government. So it is a statutory obligation of NDMA in the case of national disasters. So ex gratia is a statutory obligation of the government, and government cannot go without obliging to that requirement, statutory requirement. Supreme Court refused to order, but Supreme Court went short of ordering 4 lakh rupees compensation to the victims' relatives as demanded by the petitioners. A few advocates petitioned in the Supreme Court that government must be given direction to pay 4 lakh rupees to the relatives of those who died of COVID, but the Supreme Court did not go by that, but it just went short of that, but saying that we are giving you 6 weeks time. Within that 6 weeks, government has to come out with a plan on compensation. Okay, so I am very sure all of you understood this. What about, let me get a few responses. Have you all understood this? Bhuvanesh, good afternoon. Minu, Anjana, Anjura Thakshan, good afternoon everybody. So, have you all understood what I said? As per the National Disaster Management Act, people who are victims of national disasters are eligible for compensation. So that is what the Supreme Court has pointed out and directed. Okay, we are not ordering any particular sum, but we order that government has to come out with a clear-cut plan on how government is going to spend that money. Okay. Small doses. This is the Hindu editorial. Government of India recently announced the second stimulus plan, or the first stimulus plan during the second wave. What is a stimulus plan? Listen, economy is in doldrums. Economy is facing a kind of a recession. Economy is facing a recessionary trend. People do not have money. There is lower demand. And it is a time that individuals, companies, corporations, everyone requires help. The confidence of the private industry is at its nether. So it's a time that government helps. It is what is happening everywhere. In Britain, all the workers of private industry is given 80% salary by the government, because government understands that private industry is closed down, they cannot work, they don't generate revenue, so the government is paying salary. In America, everyone is given money in their hands. Direct money transfer was taking place. But in India, the government has not so far given any kind of stimulus of that kind. Rather, it was highly credit linked. The union government unveiled the relief package to the economy, easy small ticket loans. Listen, from the exam point of view, all these things are very important. Whatever things that the government claims to have done is very important. Easy small ticket loans of 24 lakh micro entrepreneurs, 11,000 tourist agents, free tourist visas. Meaning, if somebody wants to visit India, for the first this many numbers, there is no visa processing fee, there is no visa charges. So it is absolutely free. But mind you, these are they serious measures? We do not know. Project size of relief to 6.29 lakh crore. This is second relief package. Government says that these particular relief packages going to make a dig of 6.29 lakh crore to the exchequer. Meaning government will have to spend 6.29 lakh crore. But mind you, it is all credit linked. 2.68 lakh crore is in the form of credit guarantees. Meaning there is no actual outgo from the government. Another 1.5 lakh crore guarantees will be added to 3 lakh credit guarantee scheme that was announced last year. So 2.68 lakh credit guarantee, fresh credit guarantee, 1.5 lakh is again another added to the one that was announced last year. These are all credit guarantee, meaning if somebody takes loan, somebody is prepared to go and take a loan from the bank, government will stand in guarantee. So it's not a cash outflow. It is not a cash outflow of the government, it is only a guarantee. Mind you, the private corporations, industry does not have the confidence to take loan from the bank, because most of the days shops are shut down, demand is at a very low level. So what's the big idea in taking fresh loans? So their loan taking capacity is diminished, their loan taking confidence is diminished. 60,000 crore to COVID affected sectors, but only tourism has been identified and publicly announced. 60,000 crore. Other COVID affected sectors, what are they? Government is yet to announce. Just like last year government said that it had announced 20 lakh crore package. The actual outgo from the exchequer this time is minimal, and there is no direct stimulus, meaning what all the economists have been saying is that government has to give money to the hands of people. Okay, we understand that you are having issues, you don't have money, so we are giving 6,000 rupees to you, say 7,500 rupees to you, whatever the amount be. If that were the case, mind you, immediately the economy will get stimulated. All this money will start chasing goods. It will automatically create more and more demand in the economy, and the tax share again will come back to the government. So instead of doing that, providing direct stimulus, government is giving only credit guarantee and come to a figure. Last time we gave say 20 lakh crore, this time we are giving 6.29 lakh crore. But how far these sort of stimulus help the economy revive is something that we have to wait and see. It is a beautiful write-up. It was an excerpt from an interview with Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia, who was the chairman of the deputy chairman of Planning Commission during the Congress government. If you read this, you would understand the 1991 economic liberalization. Anybody who learns economics of India, economy of India, and economics related to modern India would divide it into two. One, 1947 to 1990. Then 1991 onwards. This second is called the post-liberalization era. That's called post-liberalization era. It was in 1991 that the Indian economy was opened up. It was during the premiership of Dr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, and at that time the finance minister was none other than Dr. Manmohan Singh. So they opened up the economy, meaning economy that was limited to the government, public sector, was opened up for private participation. And you will get the context of that if you read this particular article. So I request all of you to read that article. You can even cut the page and keep it, and you can read it as many times as possible, not just once or twice. You read it. You will get what was the scenario in 1991 and what did the government intend to do. What did the government actually do to revive the economy? The so-called privatization, fruits of privatization that the economy may be enjoying today. It all began in 1991. A must-read interview with Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia. And in that article, two books are mentioned. One is Backstage by Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Confessions of a Swadeshi Reformer by former Finance Minister Yashwant Sinha. Take note of these two books also. So why did I ask you to read this editorial? You will get the context of the 1991 financial reforms. Please read. It's a must-read stuff. Elections no guarantee against tyranny. The Chief Justice of India. Every now and then, maybe every 5 years, we change our rulers, or we give mandate to the existing ruler and ask him to rule for another 5 years. Democratically elected governments are established, but people remain sovereign only on the day of voting, and that is no guarantee against tyranny, says the Chief Justice. A mere right to change the ruler once every 5 years by itself need not be a guarantee against tyranny, says the Chief Justice of India. Listen, these are ideas that you should form. This is not for examination that I ask you to read. The Chief Justice of India says that periodical elections and choosing the ruler in itself is no guarantee against tyranny, meaning brutal force. He says that people have done their duties by electing rulers periodically, but it's a turn of the rulers to reciprocate, to live up to the constitutional mandate. For the past 75 years, people of India have been doing their duty very promptly. They go to the voting place, cast their votes and elect their rulers. We do our job. Now it's a turn of the rulers to live up to their constitutional mandate. These are all constitutional rulers. So their job is to uphold the constitution. During colonial period, law was used as a tool of political repression. So why did the British people frame rules to this country? The only idea of framing rules was to force local people, we Indians, to mend their ways for their benefits. It was time to think the rule of law. Mind you, the most beautiful thing about democracy is the rule of law. In Malayalam we call it as Niyamavalcha, rule of law. Only law can be ruled. Law is the important thing. The Prime Minister or the Chief Minister cannot say anything and that will not become the law of the country. It has to be sanctioned by the Parliament or it has to have the constitutional sanction. So rule of law and limited governments, these are the fruits of modern day democracy. And it's a time for us to what extent rule of law was used to protect ordinary life during pandemic. That is what the Chief Justice of India said. Please read. These articles, if you read continuously, will give you ideas. And this is how you should get matured by the day. India flags Green Pass issue. What is this Green Pass? We shall discuss. India took issue with the European Union, its plan to institute Green Pass. What is that Green Pass? From July 1 it was proposed. It would impose restrictions on Indian travelers who travel to Europe. If you are not vaccinated with 3 vaccines that are one of the 4 vaccines that are approved by the European Medicine Agency, EMA, you would not be able to enter Europe. And mind you, that 4 vaccines, those 4 vaccines do not include even Covishield, which is invented by Oxford University, marketed by AstraZeneca. The vaccine that is manufactured in India, the same vaccine, Covishield vaccine, that is manufactured in India by Serum Institute, that would not be eligible for the European scrutiny. Immediately India said that sorry, that is not possible. And Government of India said that we would reciprocate. If that were the case, we would also not free entry to India, not allow free entry to India. If any European comes to India, we will also ask them to go for quarantine. So the latest news is that the European Union mended its ways. 149-year-old capital shifting end in J&K, very, very important. Listen, this has been a 149-year-old tradition in J&K that capital will get shifted. It was a biannual tradition of shifting capitals between Srinagar and J&K that is known as Darbar move that comes to an end. During the winter time, the capital will get shifted from one place to the other. And it used to move hundreds of official files physically in trucks on the treacherous Jammu-Srinagar highway. So the government, listen, we have got in Kerala the administrative capital is Trivandrum. Just imagine that we have got another administrative capital in Calicut. So it is a biannual event, meaning capital will get shifted from Trivandrum to Calicut. And that is a very difficult thing, and especially when the files have to be physically moved through the treacherous Jammu-Srinagar highway. And this particular tradition, 149-year tradition, comes to an end with a government order. So no longer will there be shifting of capital, no longer will there be Darbar move. It's a very important thing even for your exam. Current account deficit widens as imports revive. What is this current account deficit? It's an excellent definition for current account. The current account deficit is a measurement of countries' trade. It's a measurement of countries' trade with other countries across the border, where the value of goods and services it imports exceeds the value of products it exports. Imports exceeds exports. So what is current account deficit? Current account deficit is equal to import minus export. When we import, we have to spend foreign exchange. When we export, we will get foreign exchange. So if the foreign exchange outflow is more than the foreign exchange inflow, we will have a current account deficit. The current account includes net income such as interest and dividends, transfers such as foreign aid. All these components are taken into account in the current account deficit. So the current account represents countries' foreign transactions. It's a systematic accounting of countries' foreign transactions, like capital account, and it's a component of the balance of payment. Current account deficit surplus is a current account is a part of the BOP, balance of payment. I shall give you a class on balance of payment and balance of trade later on. Anyway, try to understand that there is a thing called current account to the country, which accounts all the international transactions that the country makes. If the exports are more than imports, we will have a current account surplus. If imports are more than exports, they will have a current account deficit. Current account deficit is 8.1 billion in January-March, says the government. The figure may not be that important, but you should have an idea. Yes, this much is the current account deficit. Your mind should immediately think around this particular region, and you should know the definition of what CAD is. Tourism losses could cost 4 trillion. Listen, modern man lives not just to eat. He is getting more and more leisurely. People want to travel within the reach that they can. They want to travel. They want to spend money. They are not accumulating wealth. Modern man's mindset is changing. It is not about just accumulating wealth. Rather, it is all about spending money and living a life where people don't think too much about future. They just splash their money. And tourism industry is growing. But thanks to COVID, tourism industry is very badly hit, and it is estimated that the world tourism lost at least 4 trillion for 2020 and 2021. India experienced 54% drop in tourism arrival in 2020. It will definitely be much more than that. Tourism is not expected to return to pre-COVID levels until 2023 or even later. So the prediction is that tourism will not take back to its pre-COVID level by until at least 2023 or even later. That's millions of people live in this industry. This tourism industry is too big. It employs too many people, millions of people, and it's a hit below the belt for tourism, people who eke out a life out of tourism. Thank you very much, my dear students. Read the newspapers well. Your State Bank of India examination is on July 10, 11, 12 and 13, if my memory is anything to go by. Study hard. Do as many tests as possible. Through the Udyog Seva app, we are giving a few tests to the students, and you can purchase the test also. Anyway, that's all up to you. You do as many exams as possible. Make sure that you do as many questions as possible, and revise everything. Be more exam oriented these days. Don't learn too many new things, rather become more exam oriented. Thank you very much. At 3 o'clock we shall meet again with another session. Till then, goodbye.